Welcome to the Talking Sports Law podcast, created and produced by K&L Gates. Each episode features a discussion of legal issues from the world of sports, interviews with sports law professionals, and analysis of recent trends. Let's get this episode kicked off.
Welcome to another episode of Talking Sports Law from K&L Gates LLP. My name is John Wilson, and I'm your host and a partner in the Seattle office of K&L Gates. I'm also one of the leaders of our firm's global sports practice. On today's episode, I'm joined again by my co-host, Trevor Gates. Trevor, how are you doing today?
I'm doing good, John. I felt like it's been Thursday for the last 3 days, so I'm happy it finally actually is Thursday. The weekend's around the corner, and we have a great guest joining us today.
Yes, we do. I am very honored and excited to welcome Brandon Briggs, the Deputy General Counsel for Inter Miami CF from Major League Soccer. Prior to joining Inter Miami, Brandon served as the Associate Counsel for the Miami Dolphins and Hard Rock Stadium, a position that he held for more than 6 years. Brandon is a graduate of the University of Miami School of Law. We won't hold that against you because you stole our football coach from the University of Oregon. And he also holds a Bachelor of Science in Sports Administration from Louisiana State University. Go Tigers. Brandon, welcome to Talking Sports Law.
Hey, guys. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for taking some time out of your day to join us. Let's start with kind of your background. What was the path you took to your current role? And, how did you become interested in sports law?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think really my path started just before college started. I think everybody's got that negative uncle who always comes in complaining about something. And for me, that was my Uncle Blaine. Shout out to Uncle Blaine. Thanks for the career advice. He came in one day telling us that Social Security wasn't going to exist by the time we get up there in age, and that we better figure out what we want to major in, that we enjoy it, because we're going to be doing it for 50 years. And usually I brushed him off, but this time it kind of hit me, and I thought about that. I'm about to start college, and I might be doing something for 50 years. That's a pretty long time. So kind of sat down, thought about it, thought what I wanted to do, what would make me happy, what do I enjoy, and really, I thought about being a lawyer, going to law school. I always loved arguing with people, and really my passion and my love is sports. So I think growing up as one of three boys, it was something that was something we spent a lot of family time with, and just great memories growing up. So I looked into it, found that heck, I could make a career out of this if I do it the right way, and really started down that path at undergrad at LSU, working with the LSU athletic department in a number of different capacities for a couple of years, as a student worker, as an intern for different departments, and made my way to the Final Four as an intern my final semester in New Orleans, where John Calipari won his first championship, and then made my way down to Miami to start my law school career. Externed at the Athletic Department compliance department for a semester, as well as worked at a civil litigation firm for a couple of years. Helped them start up an NFL agency, dabbled in that world, and got an opportunity with the Dolphins. And 6.5 years later, Inter Miami came calling, and it was really an opportunity I couldn't pass up.
Yeah. So on that last point, can you talk a little bit about that transition from the NFL over to MLS? Sort of what prompted it? Maybe some of the differences between those two positions that you've experienced with both of those roles.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it was a great opportunity for me to step up in a leadership role and take on a lot of the legal operations for the club's day-to-day operations at the stadium, the academy, the first team, and as well as our brand new league that we've built up within the league just the past few months, MLS Next Pro. So it was really a wonderful opportunity for me in a sport that I grew up playing and coaching in and passionate about. And it was just not having to move my family across the country as most folks do in sports to have to take that next step career. It was really a no-brainer for me and such an exciting and up-and-coming organization.
I would be remiss if I did not offer you some congratulations, Brandon, because as listeners may know, last weekend, Inter Miami traveled up here to Seattle, home of Seattle Sounders FC, and Inter Miami came away with a 1-0 victory. So congratulations, Inter Miami, for taking 3 points from our hometown club up here in Seattle.
Yeah, that was an exciting match. I think it was certainly a welcome relief to see us go across the country, take that victory, and then come back here just a few days later for a U.S. Open game as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm sure as Deputy GC for Inter Miami, a lot of things are coming across your desk, right? I mean, every single day, I would imagine you're sort of confronted with a variety of different issues. But what would you say are some of the most complex issues that you have to face in your role with Inter Miami?
Yeah, I think some of the more challenging pieces are just navigating how different of a sport soccer is, and so much more of a global sport on a day-to-day operations piece, as opposed to coming from the NFL, where it's very structured in the sense of, they have college athletics providing all their athletes to them, where they just pick the cream of the crop and each year and pick their free agents, and they've got their team and their players. And with the MLS, you've got these youth academies where you're developing young talent from all over the country. You've got some opportunities within the college draft as well, but so much of that is homegrown players and then players from all over the world. And so you've got scouting reports, you've got intermediaries and agents calling you, especially as a young and exciting club, and being in the city of Miami as well. People want to be affiliated, people want to be part of it, and navigating the challenging pieces of intermediaries, agents, and opportunities for players that want to come to Miami from all over the world.
Yeah, and I imagine it's been pretty exciting for you being part of sort of a new and emerging club. I mean, the Dolphins have been around for forever. They're a very storied franchise too, but there's got to be some excitement, like you just noted, with Inter Miami and being in Miami, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I think I've been down in South Florida long enough between law school and working here that I recall seeing people wearing Inter Miami hats and gear before there was ever even a team. And I remember that going, where did they get this hat? What's going on? They don't even have a team, but people are repping their gear. It's not just an exciting club. It's such an exciting brand, and people want to be affiliated with it, with our incredible ownership group and really the bright future that we have ahead of us.
Yeah, I mean, on the branding point, Inter Miami just absolutely nailed it with the branding, right? I mean, the black and the pink color scheme, and then the flamingos. I just think it's a brand that people would want to wear regardless of whether or not they're soccer fans, just because it's been such a great thing. I mean, it was a really well conceived and well executed brand identity for all of Inter Miami, for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the crest and everything that goes into it was so well thought out. It's such a I'm wearing the shirt now, as you can see between ourselves, not for the podcast listeners, but I think they've done such an incredible just attention to detail, and there was nothing overlooked here as we built out such an incredible brand.
So I know for listeners of the podcast, we're able to see on video, and Brandon is sitting in front of Drive Pink Stadium, which is the stadium that Inter Miami's playing at right now, currently in Fort Lauderdale, I believe. But Brandon, I know that there's been sort of a long and winding journey to secure a more permanent stadium facility for the club. And I know there's been, twists and turns all around. Can you share just a little bit, about where that process is at, and, sort of where it's going to the extent you know?
Yeah, so absolutely. There's, we have a vote at the end of the month that hopefully will give us the final clearance to move forward with the lease agreement for the facility down there for Miami Freedom Park, so we can go ahead and move forward with that project. I think it's a wonderful opportunity for South Florida, for the club, and for the sport of soccer. Miami is a marquee city that deserves a marquee team, and we're looking forward to being down there. But love our facility that we have here as well, but looking forward to the long-term future down in Miami.
Brandon, what are so we ask this of a lot of our guests that join us, but what are some of the larger trends and big issues that you see in sports law in the coming year, whether that's related just to sports law generally or general legal issues or specific to Inter Miami and the work that you're doing?
Yeah, I think for my piece on what I'm doing, I'm keeping a very close eye on really sports betting, specifically in the state of Florida, as there have been some complicating factors in that piece, but it will eventually work itself out. So we need to be on top of that and planning ahead based on what ends up in the courts or with the state, rulings and guidelines of what ends up, being finalized. I think you got to be careful with that. Make sure we're getting ahead of the game. Sports gambling is so embedded in the sport of soccer around the world, and even with some of the clubs that we're starting to see emerging in the United States based on a state-by-state basis. And And so we want to keep a close ear to the ground to make sure that, we plan accordingly, as well as, different things within the sport from a business side, looking at things like the metaverse and cryptocurrency and those digital assets. South Florida and Miami in particular is now really one of the global hotbeds for the world of the crypto space. And, we've got an incredible Jersey front partner of XBTO in the crypto finance category and a wonderful sleeve partner in Xmana, who is emerging technologies, as well. So we want to make sure we're working with our partners, but also keeping an eye on really where this space ends up to maximize financially.
Yeah, Miami really has emerged as like the, capital of a lot of that crypto NFT movement. It's been really exciting to see. And I love that Inter Miami's kind of been able to leverage that with some of their, core presenting club partners on the front of their jersey and on the sleeve as well. And on the sports betting piece, Trevor has been sort of our go-to guy on sports betting. And, he's been staying up to speed as much as he possibly can. But, it's developing rapidly. And it seems like almost every week, but more like every month, there's another development of another state is coming online, or, there's a new change in the regulations in this state or that state or whatever. But it's a really exciting and dynamic area of the law for sure that I think folks across the entire sports landscape are really trying to keep their eyes on. So, Brandon, we have a number of law students who listen into our podcast. I'm a professor at Seattle University School of Law, but I've heard from others around the country who find the podcast and enjoy listening to our guests from the world of sports. And I know you graduated from University of Miami. What advice would you give to yourself as a student at UM? That you could sort of pass along to law students who might be listening today.
Yeah, I think the first piece would be to start as early as possible, really building your network and connecting with people, especially just in the past 2 years with the pandemic. It's so easy to access people, especially just for virtual meetings. Just, hey, I'm a law student, I'm really interested in your path. I was wondering if we could connect for 15 minutes, even if it's via phone, but even more personal, virtually via Zoom or other types of digital meetings, and just build your network, ask them how they got what they can, get as much advice as possible. And, when I was in law school before everything was really digital meetings left and right before the pandemic, there were sports lawyer associations and different meetings all throughout South Florida for sports law attorneys. And, a lot of the student admission for these types of incredible events were either free or heavily discounted. And I was able to when I was in law school, go to a number of these very nice events for free or for next to nothing. And I was maybe one of just a few law students that were able to connect and really build some of these networks up. And a lot of these opportunities, especially for young lawyers, are never even posted anywhere because they're so sought after that rather than get 1,000 applications a day by posting it online, sometimes you only reach out to your close connections and ask for recommendations, folks that folks that they trust. So you have a nice pool of candidates that have already been vetted by your peers. So again, building those networks, I may not have something for you now. Somebody may not otherwise in your locale, but something may come up in a few years. And I think a lot of it as well is understanding that most sports lawyers don't start in sports. They start at wonderful firms, become great attorneys, build those connections and potentially have an opportunity down the road. So if you don't start in sports, your dream to be a sports lawyer is certainly not over.
One follow-up question to that, Brandon. So I got this question. Well, I asked this question when I was in law school, and I get this question from some law students now. They always ask, how do you get into sports, right? And I think a lot of them are entertaining the idea of going to work for a university in their athletic department, in their compliance department, which is one avenue, right? And you have a bit of a unique and impressive background where you've sort of touched on three areas that commonly lead to sports work, right? Working for a university, compliance departments, working for private practice, and then actually being in-house with clubs and teams. So I guess, do you agree that there's sort of a variety of ways to get into sports, be open to different options, consider all those different avenues, and be open to alternatives? Do you have any insight on that when law students are sort of thinking through which route may make the most sense to them?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, one thing I would definitely recommend is to try and get experience, even if it's an externship or a summer internship in potentially what you want to do. And that may help not only vet what you want to do, but vet what you don't want to do. I think a lot of these opportunities that, with compliance departments within your own schools can help you kind of dip your feet into that world, help you understand, do I like this? Do I like navigating this, whether it's from an educational piece of the rules or oversight or compliance analysis of what your university is currently doing? That can help you understand, hey, I love this. I want to make a career of it. The compliance department and within colleges is the fastest growing piece of it. Or you may not like it, and that may keep you from making a poor career decision down the road. So I think even if it's an internship, shadowing someone for a week, reach out, get those opportunities if possible. But there are so many different ways to do it. I mean, you look just within sports, there's people that started as interns, people that got summer internships or externships and went to a great firm down the road. A couple years later, there was an opportunity and they were able to do it. I think there's no one set path here, but ultimately for you to be a successful sports lawyer, you need to be a great lawyer. So if that's going to a good firm, becoming a great attorney and then finding your way back in, or finding a great mentor that helps you through the process as a young attorney, like I was blessed with at the Dolphins, I think there's not one roadmap here.
Well, you just heard that whistle blow, which means that we've reached the end of our regular time and we're heading into extra time. So, Brandon, in extra time, Trevor and I will take turns and we're going to just fire a couple of rapid fire questions at you and you can just answer with sort of the first thing that comes to mind. So, Brandon Briggs, are you ready for extra time?
I'm ready. Let's do it.
All right. So what is your favorite activity or hobby when you're not working?
So my favorite hobby outside of work is being a dad, just spending as much time as possible with my daughter, Mia. She's 21 months and soon to be 21 years, it seems like. Whether it's the park or the beach, just spending quality family time and really just enjoying this beautiful time of childhood.
What's the first website or app you check each morning when you wake up?
Microsoft Outlook immediately. Making sure nothing went totally sideways overnight. That is certainly the first go-to in the morning.
You wouldn't get a phone call or a text message or something if it did? Just an email in your inbox?
Yeah, just checking the phone, making sure that the world is still spinning for Inter Miami.
Brandon, what's the best live sports moment that you've been a part of as a fan, witnessing that in person?
Yeah, I think I've been blessed with between and work or being a fan, some pretty wonderful moments. The LSU over Alabama 9-6, game of the century was beautiful, but I think probably the top one was witnessing LSU's most recent national championship with Joe Burrow and squad. My wife and I and my family up in the stands, just taking it all in and really watching what was clearly the greatest team to ever play college football.
Well, we could debate that one, but we'll save that for another time. Last question, Brandon. If you weren't working as a sports lawyer, I guess enjoying time being a dad, what would you be doing?
Yeah, I think that's a tough one for me. I mean, I'd had my mindset since I was 18 years old of I was going to figure this out one way or another. I would imagine it would probably be in sports somewhere, helping on the business advising or agency piece. I think it's such a passion of mine and has been my whole life that I think it just, again, to make sure I have a decent quality of life, I got to be enjoying really what I do every day. And this was such a deep passion for me. I would have figured it out somehow.
Well, that'll do it for another episode of Talking Sports Law from K&L Gates. Special thanks to our guest, Brandon Briggs of Inter Miami CF, for the great conversation about his role as Deputy General Counsel. You can find all the episodes on our website, klgates.com, or by searching for Hub Talks, wherever you get your podcasts. If you'd like to be a guest on our podcast, feel free to reach out, john.wilson@klgates.com. And thanks very much for listening to Talking Sports Law from K&L Gates.